Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope you're having a great Tuesday night. Here we go, looking ahead to another weekend with possible wintry weather. And if you've been hanging with me for the past couple days, you know that this is not exactly the kind we really want here. This is going to be more of an ice situation as we head into this weekend. At least that's how it looks as of now, January 20th. On the 9 o'clock hour here. So here's a look at the graph. I'll kind of give people a second to get on board here. I'm going to try to answer some questions as they're coming in as well. Here's a look at the graph model, which is just to show you that we're not expecting anything crazy over the next couple of days. Here's a look at tomorrow afternoon, increasing clouds, and then maybe some rain coming in late tomorrow night, probably close to midnight or beyond. Then maybe a possible off and on shower as we go through Thursday morning into Thursday afternoon on into Thursday night. Again, not a washout type thing as far as steady, but there could be off and on sprinkles. And then we get into the long range models. Now, I don't have a whole lot to show you because it is Tuesday night, and this is something we're talking about for Saturday night. Now get this. This is early, but we're talking about possibly Saturday night overnight, Sunday possibly throughout the day, Sunday night, and maybe into Monday. So a lot of questions around this, but obviously if anyone has ever been through an ice storm, they're not much fun. So it's not exactly like what we just had this past Sunday morning. Not much fun in the sense of, you have all that weight of ice on tree limbs, power lines, things like that. So hopefully this won't pan out to be like this. Let's start with Friday. This is going to be the European model. So this is really all we have to show you this far out is these two long-range models. I don't have, like intermediate range models or short-range models or anything like that. That gets in toward the end of the week. Once we get into Thursday, Friday, we'll be able to take a look at those. So here's a look at Friday night, now Saturday. So if the Euro model, which is what this is right, and of course this is going to change as we go throughout this week. It could become more of a thing or less of a thing. It could be on this timing or on different timing. But this is as of tonight. Noon would show snow in North Georgia, the pink shaded area. Again, going to be some sort of a mix of possibly sleet or freezing rain. Green, obviously regular old rain. There's around 5 in the afternoon. Then we start to get into the nighttime hours here. And depending on where that freezing line is at this time, this is where we'll see things changing over to possible ice. Going forward into midnight, the farther north you are, the better your chance of this. This is the typical winter weather talk, unlike this past weekend. Notice as you get into 6, 7 in the morning. So let me just stop here and explain. This past Sunday, the setup was different. And I had people asking, how is it that it's 34, 35 degrees outside and it's snowing? Well, because all the upper levels of the atmosphere, it was below freezing. So it was formed as snow, it came down as snow, and then landed on ground that was just a little bit above freezing. So that's why it looked kind of weird on some of those observation numbers there. Now, what happens though, and we saw it this past Sunday, is you get enough snow on the ground, it starts to drag that colder air down from the upper levels and can then reinforce its own environment and create freezing numbers on the surface, which is what happened in some spots. This is different. Everything that's going to be in the upper levels is coming down as rain. The freezing part is here where we live at the surface. So instead of coming down as snow, it's coming down as rain, but then freezing on contact. That's what this could be. Thus, an ice storm. So there's Sunday morning, heading toward lunch. If this is right, it's taken into account that we could be warming up at this point enough that this would still be some rain as we go through the day Sunday. Getting into Sunday night, depending on if there's still enough moisture content out there. We may still have either rain or something frozen still to come in. It tries to show a couple of flurries on the back side here. The Euro model has this trying to leave late Sunday night into Monday morning. Now that's good, except for the secondary problem there is anything that was already ice and anything that came down as rain during the day Sunday is going to refreeze Sunday night because we're going, let's see, where are those numbers? I had them here. We're going Sunday night could be down around 20. So even though it may stop the actual precip, we would then freeze up whatever's there. So we're looking at least 2 nights of this and through the day on Sunday. So starting Saturday night, and it may be Monday, but now get this, maybe Monday before there is some sort of relief. Now I have models showing Monday, this is how far out, this is why this is crazy. I have models showing us anywhere from 33 degrees to 46 on Mondays. So that's key. All right, now we'll get to that in a minute. Here's the long-range GFS model. This is the one that we probably really don't want to be true. At least it has corrected itself a little bit. I'll just tell you earlier when I looked at it, it had this going from Saturday afternoon all the way into Tuesday. Yes, crazy. Now, it is a little bit more in line with the Euro, but it's also more aggressive with keeping things frozen even during the day Sunday. So this starts Saturday morning. And again, just to notice, if this actually comes true, there's going to be power trucks all over the place here. I mean, I don't have the map all the way zoomed out, but this goes all the way over to Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, us, Carolinas. So this starts Saturday morning to the north. We're looking at maybe some rain. Let's go forward. Getting into the afternoon, not seeing anything here yet except maybe our northern counties, depending on where that freezing line is. Then we start to get into the later afternoon, and you can see it changing over into some sort of ice or sleet. There's around 8 o'clock or so Saturday night, and it keeps it going. Now, again, if we don't have moisture here and we don't have actual rain coming down, it doesn't matter what the temperature is, none of this is going to happen. So there's a lot of things have to line up. This is just what the models are showing as of Tuesday night. There's 2 in the morning. Going forward, 7 in the morning. Now, here's where the GFS differs from the Euro. Yeah, Euro had rain still around Sunday, but it changed back over to rain because, looking right here, the Euro, this is the difference here, has us getting to 40 on Sunday. Now get this, the GFS has us at 28 during the day Sunday. So there's a wide range of difference there. Let's go forward, and again, this is assuming that we're at 28 all day. We're still making ice as we go into Sunday during the day, afternoon, Sunday night. Snow North Georgia. For us, still some sort of a mix. Overnight into early Monday morning itself, and then finally starting to leave. But again, the earlier model had this continuing with stuff like this all through Monday night into Tuesday. So at least this one also tries to wrap it up Monday morning. I want to show you something. Let's see if I can find a clicker here. When we talk about ice totals, and I can't remember what I read earlier. I'd seen earlier spots as much as maybe a ½ inch of ice. Now, totally different world than snow. When you hear half inch of snow, you're like, well, that's just kind of a dusting. That's not a big deal. Ice is a totally different thing, and it has a lot of weight to it. So let's say you have a ½ inch or less. Kind of basically just don't get out on the roads. Some tree limbs that are going to be, would have wanted to come down anyway, probably will, with some light ice out there and just sporadic power outages. If we go to a quarter to a half, then the roads are getting in pretty rough shape. The power outages start to go up, more tree limbs starting to come down. If we do hit that total of a ½ inch or more, then it's kind of stay home. Then we've got a problem at this point. If we look at, and again, before you go just clock the bread and milk aisle, hold on a second, it's only Tuesday night, okay? So let me show you, this is the Euro projection as of now. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if this is right, you're talking 1.5 inches to nearly 2 inches to 2.5 inches of ice. And I just showed you on that thing where a ½ inch starts causing problems. Let's see what the GFS model says. Similar numbers. inch, inch and a half to 2.5 inches farther north. So those would be pretty impressive totals, 2.5 inches to 3 inches for snow, but for ice, hopefully that is not going to be the case, because again, as I mentioned, this is one of the problems, you know, a quarter inch or less, you can handle that. Quarter to half, power outages starting to become a thing, half inch or greater. And we're, again, this is Tuesday night. This can change. I'm not trying to like shout from the rooftop here that this is going to be the worst thing in the world, but just looking at the models where they are now. And again, you got to think this is Saturday night, overnight, possibly either still going at freezing Sunday or still going as rain Sunday. Either way, we could go down to 20 Sunday night into Monday morning. So unless something really changes, this could be something that's, it's not like a snow day like what we just had on Sunday. So again, if you're just joining us, and I really can't say it enough, this stuff can and will change as we go through the week. I've seen this over the years where you'll see stuff like this, you get closer in and it turns out to not really be the case if the numbers don't line up. But to have both long-range models picking up on it this early is something to pay attention to. Again, starting tomorrow, it may just be just the mountains of North Georgia, and we don't see any of this. The Euro, again, Saturday afternoon, and then notice how it tries to start changing over as we go overnight, early Sunday morning. And then as we go into mid-morning and lunchtime, trying to pull its way up in the afternoon, more toward the north where the colder air is. We could still have rain. And again, I mentioned in this scenario, if the Euro is right, yes, this is rain, but I mean, we're dropping like a rock once we get past sunset on down to near 20 as we go into Monday morning. And you can see it trying to bring a back edge in late Sunday night and then going by Monday morning. Again, the GFS is the one that's really calling for this more. Friday, this is Saturday. Again, in the morning, mainly North Georgia. But again, look at all this area that could be ice. Still not so much for us yet. Jasper, Putnam, Hancock, places like that, maybe seeing it then. But then starting to, it's raining, and then it's like, oh, you know, this is starting to kind of stick to stuff out here as we get on into Saturday night. Overnight, 7 in the morning, still going. Sunday, middle of the day, afternoon, into Sunday night. Overnight into now early Monday morning, maybe a few flurries up top. For us, for the most part, it looks like ice the whole way through. And once again, these ice projections can totally change. So, you know, if you haven't been around here, or you know, in spots where there's been an ice storm before, yeah, they can cause issues. I mean, this is not a tornado outbreak we're talking about. Somebody's been see questions asking about sleeves up. Yeah, the sleeves are up, but this is not the same thing as something like that. I mean, this is if you know, we use our common sense and stay off the roads, everything's fine. But if it turns out that we do see 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches of ice, then that's notable. GFS again showing similar numbers. And again, if you're just joining us, just to show you, ice accumulation impacts at different levels of accumulation. Obviously, you'd want 1/4 of an inch or less. If you had to deal with 1/4 to 1/2, you could. But it's 1/2 inch or more. And I know you think 1/2 inch of rain, 1/2 inch of snow, that's nothing. But you got to think about ice, the weight of that. Okay, so let's see. There's a lot of folks in here talking. Yeah, what I don't want people to do is start panicking this far out. Because things could still change. Let's give it a little bit of time. I will tell you that I personally will have more confidence in this starting Thursday. Once we get into Thursday, we can start looking at the graph model, especially Friday. We can get into the high-res models, just like we did this past weekend. And it may be that all this was long-range models trying to figure it out this far out. I mean, they were showing this time last week maybe a sprinkle or two this past Sunday morning, and then for a couple of days they showed nothing this past weekend. And then all of a sudden they started coughing up snow again. So it doesn't mean that this is set in stone. But definitely just something to plan on just in case. Let me see here. I was going to look at some of these numbers here. Monday, Tuesday. Check this too, by the way. All right, so let's say GFS is right. We get into Monday, it's gone. Euro also showing it leaving Monday. Okay, so then Monday, clearing out. I'm looking at numbers here Monday. The GFS is running the coldest by far. On that Sunday, it has us at 28 degrees. So in other words, that's the reason it's showing pink all night, all day, all night again, because it's below 32. The Euro has us at 40 during the day Sunday. Once we get into Sunday night, no doubter, probably going down to around 20. Everybody agrees with that. Then during the day on Monday, what you're looking at right here, when the event is probably over, so we're not actually, it's not raining or it's not doing anything anymore. Highs that day, if we were going to try to get rid of some of this and melt off, I see 42, 44, 46. The GFS, however, has us at 33 Monday. Hopefully we could lose a lot of it, because once we go into Monday night, the GFS has us at 14 degrees, Euro 21, blend 21. So probably going to be in the mid to upper teens Monday night. So our one shot at trying to get rid of this before then we have a problem Monday night into Tuesday morning again would be if we can warm up some during the day on Monday. Again, so many things can change between now and then. Okay, so somebody said, how often are models updated? So you're going to get these models a couple times a day. Once we get into Thursday, we can start to get it into our usual graph model that we show. And that one's going to be more times than that, the high-res model. You're kind of looking hourly for a lot of the high-res models. That gets us more into Friday. So once we start to get into Thursday, we'll have more options, things we can look at and see if this was just something that the long-range models thought, and it turned out that it was wrong. Let's see. Just to show you again, look at this. I mean, it's not just us. So if this plays out, this is an all skate for sure. A lot of folks involved. Once you go north of the deep south, it's snow, but all from Texas all the way across to North Carolina, it could be ice. So, looking for questions. Let's see comments, but no questions. Let's see. Yeah, somebody said the weather's been very strange lately in Georgia. Yeah, if you remember last January, we had it might snow, and then it really didn't. It was to our north, and then it was like a few days later or a week later. That's when we had that big snow last January. Then we just had this snow last Sunday, and now here we go with this again. So it is wild, because we can definitely go years without seeing even one event. So I'm going to have to take off here and get ready for the 10 o'clock show. But the overall takeaway is, no panic. Just watch it as we go through the next couple of days. The Euro is a little more of a doable model. I'm just throwing darts here, but at this point, I'm leaning more toward this solution, which still shows ice overnight into Sunday morning, and then lifting due to the fact that we should be, most models are calling for us to be above 40 Sunday. It's only the GFS that has us at 28 degrees. So that's an outlier from the other models. So having ice all day Sunday into Monday, that so far to me doesn't compute. This makes more sense that we'd see it back out more Atlanta, Athens during the day, and we would still see the possibility of some of that in our northern counties, and then Sunday night it starts to move away. But once again, even if this is right, even after the event overnight into Sunday, even if that is just rain right there, anything that is wet, which if it's still raining throughout the day, we're dropping down to nearly 20. So we may not still be making ice as far as freezing rain coming. Maybe the rain has stopped at some point, but anything out there would be a hard freeze. And then we would have a little bit of a window, possibly Monday, to try to melt some of it off before dropping down into the mid to upper teens Monday night into Tuesday. So again, keep in mind, this is Tuesday, so a lot can change between now and then. All righty, guys, we're going to be doing these multiple times throughout the week, every night at 9 for sure, as far as on our end here on the night side crew. So we'll be talking about it. Again, all we have are the long-range models at this point. But once we start to get into Thursday, we'll have a much better take. Even, see, when is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Even Wednesday, tomorrow night, we'll start to see a little bit of Saturday. Because a 3-day model, but more, especially by the time we get into Thursday. So updates will be coming, that's for sure. Hope you have a great night. We'll talk later.